During the 1960s and 1970s, England witnessed an extraordinary cultural phenomenon as rock musicians, many of whom had risen from humble beginnings, achieved unprecedented fame and fortune. With their newfound wealth, these artists often indulged in extravagant purchases, none more emblematic than the acquisition of massive English country estates and mansions. These properties, originally built by a bygone era of sprawling families, multiple generations under one roof, and extensive staffs, represented a stark contrast to the modest upbringings of many of these musicians. Designed for a time when large households, frequent guests, and long-term visitors were the norm, these estates often exceeded the practical needs of their new owners. Yet, they became symbols of success, creative retreats, and sometimes eccentric excess. In this series, I will explore such properties, each tied to a legendary musician of the era. In this episode, we're going to talk about Getting Hall, owned by Bill Wyman, Cochford Farm, owned by Brian Jones, Old Rectory, owned by Brian May, Hook End Manor, owned by David Gilmour, and Woodside, owned by Elton John. So, let's begin our journey. Getting Hall, located near Bury St. Edmunds in Suffolk, England, is a 15th century moated manor house purchased by Bill Wyman, former Rolling Stones bassist, back in 1968. The property, dating back to 1458, features a 30-foot moat, a bridge, and a tower set on over 400 acres of land. Wyman, born William George Perks in 1936 in South London to a working-class family, bought the estate from Geoffrey Allen, a property dealer with ties to the Cray twins, notorious British gangsters. The hall has historical significance, with origins linked to the Chamberlain family in the early 15th century. Wyman, a keen amateur archaeologist, has explored its grounds with a metal detector, uncovering artifacts like Roman coins and Bronze Age relics. Since moving in, he raised 3 daughters with his wife Suzanne Acosta, whom he married in 1993. The estate, valued between £4 to £5 million, reflects Wyman's journey from poverty to wealth. He has also written about its history, including a forthcoming book, and allowed archaeological digs, such as a 2001 Time Team excavation, to uncover its past. Cochford Farm, located southwest of Hartfield, East Sussex, England, is a Grade 2 listed timber frame farmhouse, possibly dating to the mid-16th or 17th century. Brian Jones, a founding member of the Rolling Stones, purchased the property on November 13th, 1968 for £31,500. Previously owned by Winnie the Pooh author A.A. Milne from 1925 until his death in 1956, the estate spans 9.5 acres and includes a 6-bedroom house, gardens, and a heated outdoor swimming pool installed by an American couple, the Taylors, who owned it before Jones. Jones lived there for less than a year, adding features like colored lighting and glazing. On July 3, 1969, he was found dead in the swimming pool at age 27, with the coroner ruling it death by misadventure due to alcohol and drugs, though murder rumors persist. The property near Ashdown Forest, the inspiration for the 100-acre wood, was sold in 1970 to Alistair Jones for £35,000 and later fetched £1.8 million in June of 2017. Wimbledon Manor House, specifically the Old Rectory, located at 82 Church Road, Wimbledon, London, is a Grade 2 listed property built around 1500 as a parsonage for St. Mary's Church. Brian May, Queen's guitarist, purchased it in 1994 for £4 million, intending to live there with his partner Anita Dobson, whom he later married in 2000. The Old Rectory, Wimbledon's oldest surviving residence, spans 16,200 square feet on 2.5 acres, featuring 8 bedrooms, a Tudor chapel, and a vaulted study. Historically, it was a crown property after the 1536 dissolution of the monasteries. Briefly owned by Catherine Parr in 1543 and a grace and favor home for William Cecil in 1550. By 1861, it was nearly a ruin until restored by John Beaumont. Brian May sold it in 2006 for £16 million to an Italian architect and her husband, who listed it in 2012 for £26 million. It sold in June of 2013 to Ian Taylor for an undisclosed sum. Brian May spent little time there, as his partner preferred their Kensington home. The estate reflects a rich history, far exceeding May's practical needs during his ownership. Hook End Manor, a 16th century Elizabethan home near Checkenden, Oxfordshire in England, was built in 1580 for the Bishop of Reading. David Gilmour, Pink Floyd's guitarist, purchased it in August of 1980 from Alvin Lee of 10 years after, who had constructed space studios there in the 1970s. Gilmour upgraded the studio, recording parts of Pink Floyd's The Final Cut on the 25-acre estate, which features 11 bedrooms and an oak panel dining room. He sold it in 1987 to Westside Productions amid rumors his wife feared paranormal activity, possibly linked to a gravestone for Little Jack, a boy who died in 1909, found in the basement. In 1992, Trevor Horn, singer of Video Killed the Radio Star with The Bugles, and a renowned producer bought it, enhancing the studio further. Artists like The Cure and Morrissey recorded there. Horn sold it in 2007 for £12 million after his wife, Jill Sinclair, was accidentally shot by their son with an air rifle in 2006, leading to her death in 2014. The manor later fell into disrepair under subsequent owner Mark White. Woodside, located in Old Windsor, Berkshire, England, is a large, detached house owned by Elton John since 1975, when he purchased it for approximately £400,000 after the success of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. The property, originally built in the 1500s for Henry VIII's surgeon, sits on 37 acres near Windsor Great Park. Rebuilt multiple times after fires, its most recent construction in 1947 adopted a post-war mock Georgian style. The enormous house features 8 bedrooms, 5 reception rooms, a billiard room, and a squash court, though exact dimensions vary in reports. Initially, John filled it with quiche items, like a King Tut throne replica, but after rehab in 1990, he renovated it into a traditional English country home. His designers oversaw the 1980s and 1990s refurbishments. The 35-acre gardens, redesigned by Rosemary Veary and Roy Strong, include an Italianate layout, a T-Rex sculpture named Daisy that he got from Ringo Starr, they used to be at Tittenhurst Park, and a Windsor castle-inspired stable. Elton John has lived there with his husband, David Furnish, and their sons, calling it their hub. These musicians, many starting with little, seize the opportunity to own estates that symbolize their rise. Yet these properties, built for a time of large families, live-in staff, and extended stays, often exceeded their practical needs. Many of these homes seem like relics of an aristocratic past, repurposed as badges of success or creative havens. In their excess, these homes reflect not just wealth, but a desire to transcend humble origins, even if the reality of living in such spaces sometimes clashed with the modern, often solitary lives of many rock stars. So, what do you think? Were these smart purchases for these rock stars? Were these homes just way too big for them? If you knew them back in the day when they were home shopping, would you have advised them to buy these massive estates? And if you could speak to any of the owners today, what would you tell them about your ideas for the future of their estates when they are no longer around to take care of them? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Perhaps they will read your ideas. Please do me a favor and like and share this video and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Kindly check out the description below to learn how to support my research and productions, including buying any of my books about Friar Park, Tittenhurst Park, and the Dakota. Until next time, I wish you safe travels on all your journeys.